first Bitcoin.
I mean, can you play the clip in 2012 and 13 when it was at 200 and everybody was laughing at me on CNBC every time I would talk about Bitcoin? Where is it going? It's probably going to 100, then 150, then 200,000.
Hey everybody, Matty here with Altcoin Buzz. Happy Saturday, hope you're having a great weekend. Another day and not another Bitcoin all-time high. This is outrageous. So it seems to me like we're consolidating in this kind of $39,000 to $42,000 range. And as you can see right now, wouldn't call it a retracement, but a slight pullback. Numbers are somewhat down right now, but that's okay. It gives all of these projects, including Bitcoin and all the altcoins, a chance to breathe. It allows us to catch up because, of course, it's been very difficult actually to keep up with just the excitement. And you always need time to kind of let things marinate and think a little bit about your strategy. So that's important. Market cap is still up there, just under $1.1 trillion right now. Overall, looking very strong indeed. Guys, of course, we cover this every day. So as a reminder, if you like this kind of content, Bitcoin, blockchain, and cryptocurrency, be sure to like and subscribe. We played you this CNBC clip here at the outset here with Chamath Palihapitiya. As you can see, this guy, by the way, he has every reason to root for Bitcoin going to 50K, to 100K, to $200,000. Purportedly, he bought $1 million worth of Bitcoin at $80. So you're talking about, for him, what's coming up now on a 1,000 times return. If those numbers are accurate, it means that if Bitcoin, when Bitcoin hits $80,000 this year, he will have made 1,000 times on that original investment. He will have multiplied his $1 million initial capital investment by 1,000 times, making it $1 billion. And I gotta say, this is one of the greatest, I think, investment minds out there in the world today. If you listen to what he has to say, and I've been talking about it lately, his thoughts on energy, his thoughts on why Elon Musk should be the world's first trillionaire. He's one of the brightest bulbs that I think we have available right now. Although he was asked recently about Ethereum, and he kind of gave it the thumbs down, and the follow-up question was, okay, but what are your thoughts about DeFi? And he very candidly said he didn't even know what that was. So I think he's wrong about Ethereum, personally speaking, but nevertheless, quite an intelligent mind. So if you haven't seen this interview, we've talked about it now for a couple of days. I figured it was time to plaster it here in this video and really direct you to it explicitly. So we'll link to this in the description below if you haven't seen it already. I want to talk now a little bit about gold, because it really isn't doing all that well. According to all kinds of projections, gold really should be soaring to new all-time highs. Of course, Bitcoin's doing that. Gold's not. Gold's crashing. So here you have Jim Cramer, who's saying that all the money is going into crypto. The price of gold actually sold off more than $60 on Friday. We talked about gold yesterday, currently sitting at about $1,850, which is pretty disappointing. So this is per troy ounce on the COMEX division of the New York Mercantile Exchange. And of course, we all know the story. Bitcoin is surging to new all-time highs, $41,000, $42,000. So Jim Cramer here, either it is not as chaotic out there, so gold doesn't jump, or it's all going to crypto. But remember, there has been no flight to quality treasuries. In response to this question here, Jim Cramer, are you surprised gold isn't rallying after this week? Seems like everything that is going on should have been bullish for gold. It's a question more for Peter Schiff, I suppose. Maybe he has the answer. I don't want to discuss gold all that much more, guys, other than to say, to kind of recap Anthony Pompliano's recent argument that Bitcoin is 10 times better engineered, 10 times more significant and efficient than gold. It should have at least 10 times the market cap. I think, personally, that gold is going to slowly fade into irrelevance. There's still a place for it. I'm not bashing precious metals in theory, but in practice, it's just such a corrupt industry. It still has a 2% inflation because, of course, people keep mining gold and therefore 2% keeps being added to the supply every year. There are too many paper assets out there. There's not a sufficient auditing. There's not sufficient trustlessness in the system. So I asked you guys just about 20 minutes ago, do you still have a place for gold or precious metals in your portfolio? This is pretty split right now. So let me know, guys, on our community page with this poll, whether or not you still feel gold has a place in your portfolio. I'm kind of the opinion that, I elaborated on this yesterday. I like gold, but I just don't see it as being advantageous to invest in it right now when you have all of these incredible crypto projects that are just going to take your dollar further. Just kind of my point of view. Gold was a great thing. If you got in the early 1970s, you're laughing. It's not the case anymore. All right, here on Cointelegraph.com, Warp Finance has added Chainlink oracles to protect against flash loans. Warp Finance, you may know the name, they're a DeFi lending protocol, and they suffered an $8 million flash loan exploit right after release, unfortunately. So they're now gearing up for a relaunch that's going to include an integration with oracles by Chainlink. The inclusion of Chainlink oracles reportedly serves as protection against similar exploits. Flash loan exploits use a feature that allows borrowing an unlimited amount of funds as long as it is also returned within the same Ethereum block. And according to the team, security experts determined that the root cause of the exploit was an exploitable price oracle. When asked by Cointelegraph why Warp Finance did not initially use Chainlink oracles, a spokesperson replied, quote, Uniswap oracles have been an option for many projects that seek price feeds for a variety of use cases. And as such, we launched similarly to other lending platforms for the trial phase with the ability to upgrade later. We wish them luck with this upgrade. The question that I'll ask you guys, you can answer in the comments below. Would you trust Warp Finance going forward? Because of course, once tainted with a major exploit like that, right out of the gate especially, doesn't exactly bode well for your credibility. But I don't know. I haven't used them personally. Let's give them the benefit of the doubt, and hopefully this does work out. News here with IOST at IOST_official. Hong Kong-based company HyperPay to officially launched HyperBC Farm Liquidity Mining Pool on IOST today. You can read more on medium.com. So this is from a few days ago, the 6th of January. This is already launched. HyperBC Farm site is hyperbc.com. PokeStarter now is in the news. In just 2 weeks since our launch, PokeStarter has raised more than $2 million from over 1,000 participants. In January, we're looking forward to hosting more than 10 projects, with over 200 project applications received in the last few weeks. Stay tuned, #DeFi. And with some very impressive quantitative updates here, check this out, Grayscale. So this from, these are representing the 8th of January numbers. So from yesterday, update. Net assets under management, holdings per share, and market price per share for our investment products. Total AUM assets under management, $28.4 billion. Guys, just a week ago, we were reporting on this. And we were barely making it over the $20 billion mark, which itself was unbelievable, which itself was a tenfold increase from a year ago at this time. So Grayscale, now $28.4 billion. And by the way, they're starting to build up their Ethereum trust. Grayscale's starting to build up as well their Litecoin trust. We're noticing that trend. Here's another trend that they've alerted us to. Pension funds are getting in on Bitcoin, according to Grayscale. We saw that tweet the other day and kind of the reasoning, the progression of it. First retail investors, then commercial investors, then central banks. That's ultimately the trajectory that we're on when it comes to crypto adoption. But if you kind of want to go a bit more granular, when you get into that commercial sector, right, that commercial kind of third of that equation, there are different tiers of commercial size, and it starts with some of the smaller companies. It moves up into the larger companies. Hopefully some of the multinationals get on board with Bitcoin in their treasuries. But pension funds are the really big deal because those are the ones that control more money than just about anybody. So this is a very, very good sign indeed. CEO Michael Sonnenschein says they're fueling Grayscale's massive growth. Unbelievable. Michael said the following, quote, "We've started to see participation not just from the hedge fund segment, which we've long seen participation from, but now it's recently from other institutions, pensions, and endowments. The sizes of allocations they are making are growing rapidly as well. Pension funds are following a horde of institutional buyers that began entering the Bitcoin market in 2020. A survey conducted by Fidelity Investments last year found that 36% of financial institutions across the United States and Europe said they own cryptocurrencies or derivatives, and over 1/4 of the respondents reported holding Bitcoin, while 11% said they own Ethereum. And why are they considering this strategy at all in the first place? It's very simple. Quote, "This is a verifiable, scarce asset, and so when there are mechanisms that are removing them from circulation, that inherently makes it an even scarcer asset." Bitcoin represents the perfect, like the textbook, Economics 101 supply and demand curve. And as you guys know, you're all smart cookies out there in the altcoin buzz army. As demand increases and supply goes down, you guys know what happens to price. So very, very excited to see this development. I think pension funds really could be the story that, rockets Bitcoin and all of crypto for that matter, really into the next strata here, into the next tier. But at the same time, I don't think it's FOMO. I think this is game theory. I think it's incumbent on some of these large pension funds. If they want to stay fiscally responsible, it's incumbent on them to get into this space. Why wouldn't they? It's the opportunity of a lifetime for the individual retail investor. The same goes for pension funds. It's their opportunity right now. Speaking of opportunities, Morgan Stanley has identified one. They've acquired 792,000 shares in business intelligence firm MicroStrategy. That is Michael Saylor's firm. So they now hold a 10% stake in MicroStrategy. And MicroStrategy's massive push into Bitcoin is obviously being noticed. It's being noticed by other institutional firms. It's being noticed by other companies that are following their strategy, that are kind of doing exactly what they do, mimicking them effectively. And that's because it's paying off. So this investment specifically represents a 10.9% stake in a firm that has made massive investments in Bitcoin over these previous months. Let's take a look at their stock for just a second. As you can see here, ticker MSTR. All right, if you go to micro, it looks a little bit bad. There's some red here. Stock right now sitting at $531. That's just, where we kind of landed as the week closed off. If you look at the 5-day chart, they're up pretty significantly, actually. If you look at the 1-month chart, they're doing very well indeed. This is very correlated with the price of Bitcoin. Michael Saylor made these announcements about their purchase of Bitcoin for their treasury months ago. And then as months go by, the price of Bitcoin increases. They are rewarded, MicroStrategy that is, not only in the appreciating value of Bitcoin, but here they're also rewarded in investor confidence and in a rising stock. Their market cap right now is just below $5 billion, $4.92 billion. Expected to breach $5 billion, expected to breach $10 billion at some point in the future. I mean, the more you zoom out, this just gets parabolic. MicroStrategy at this point, MSTR, is kind of looking like an altcoin or something. Looking, from about 6 months ago, their stock sat at $116. So you're looking here at more than a quadrupling, nearly a quintupling of their stock price and their valuation in the span of 6 months. Is it any wonder that Morgan Stanley wants to be a part of and wants to invest in this winning strategy? CEO Michael Saylor of MicroStrategy, of course, is very outspoken. He had the following to say: "This is not a speculation nor a hedge. It is a deliberate corporate strategy to adopt the Bitcoin standard." This is also part of a trend because institutional investors like Morgan Stanley have warmed up to crypto assets considerably over the past year. Many have attributed Bitcoin's recent bull market to this institutional uptick as compared to the retail FOMO that was so critical to Bitcoin's 2017 highs. Here we have another firm joining the fray. Publicly traded cryptocurrency mining company Hive Blockchain. Their ticker is HIVE, Hive. They've passed $1 billion in market value and their shares continue to surge amid Bitcoin's parabolic rally. These guys are Vancouver-based with a current market cap of about $1.17 billion with 345.7 million shares outstanding. Taking a look at some of their Wall Street numbers, this is the 1-day chart. Again, all you have to do is zoom out and you can really get a sense of the performance here, looking at the 5-day chart and the 1-month chart and the 6-month chart. Are we beginning to notice a trend here? Do you see the pattern kind of crystallizing? Expect Hive Technologies to do very well. This is my new thesis, guys. It's not an original thesis. Everybody's been saying it for quite a while now. But we're no longer in this fearful stage, this investment phase where Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies represent some kind of stigma. It's not taboo anymore. In fact, any involvement in that space, even if it's an arm's length involvement, let alone a mining company's involvement, any involvement in the cryptocurrency and Bitcoin space is rewarded in traditional markets. We're going to keep seeing rising stock prices and we're going to be seeing bigger and bigger and bigger companies getting into the game. And now pension funds, as we saw a moment ago. And just before closing out the video, I'd like to direct you to this piece here to loop back around to what we discussed at the outset. Chamath Palihapitiya sees Bitcoin as insurance against uncertainty. As he said, and as you heard in that video, the fabric of society is frayed. And so people are rightly looking to Bitcoin as a hedge against, I guess, as a hedge not only against the dollar, but maybe against reality to a certain extent, as a hedge against institutions that insist on, us trusting them. In many ways, Bitcoin is a hedge against that. So check out this piece on Cointelegraph.com for a further breakdown. Guys, if you haven't checked out our price signals group, first of all, I'm going to pin that in the comments below. I got to give a lot of credit to Pratik because he's been nailing it. He's been making a lot of people a lot of money. And it's not financial advice, but these are informed discussions. These are informed technical observations. And so if you at all want to be part of that discussion, join our Price Signals Telegram group. Again, I'll link to that in the comments as well as the description below. You can also check out here our price predictions and analyses for Balancer, for 1 inch, and for LTC in particular. We'll link to this in the description below. But that is it for today already, everybody, on this Saturday. Hey, there's a lot happening, as you know, so be sure to follow us on all the regular social media channels and keep checking back into altcoinbuzz.io for all the latest. Like, subscribe, share, and hit the bell to receive notifications if you enjoyed today's video. Best of luck if you choose to invest on this Saturday, members of the Altcoin Buzz Army, but have a great weekend. First and foremost, stay safe. And as always, we hope to see you again soon in our next video. Take care.